Are you heading to Qatar for the World Cup this winter? You're going to have to stay connected and power up with a super fast 5G Qatar fan SIM card. What you get is 2 GB of data, 25 minutes of local calls, 15 minutes of international calls to over 120 global destinations, super fast 5G data, no roaming fees. You can top up locally in Qatar to increase validity and your package, and it's suitable for all devices. Order it online at wellsim.com and it will be delivered to you in 3 to 5 days or next day delivery if you're in the USA or the UK. So save time and get yours now. The link is in the description. Power up and be ready to stay connected for the Qatar World Cup. Get 20% off in partnership with World Sim. Use the code DRSports20. Click the link to get connected.
To game day preview live on DR Sports. Alex is not happy about this Halloween theme today.
No, not at all.
I don't know what's scarier, like this wig, your outfit, or like some of the football we've seen in the last few weeks.
Especially from Arsenal.
Yeah,
Actually,
I can't actually excuse Tottenham from that either. So with that being said, let's get straight to it. Let's talk about the early kickoff of this weekend, which is Leicester taking on Manchester City, isn't it? I mean, Leicester have lost 9 of their last 11 Premier League matches against Manchester City, and the last 3 in a row they have lost. So how are you feeling about this one going? Any change of fortune?
It's difficult to say really, because on paper you'd say Man City stroll this one, and they probably will. But Leicester have had a slight upturn in form. I think they're unbeaten in the last 3, winning 2, drawing 1.
James Maddison's been a real key part for them, hasn't he?
And you know, Man City have shown frailties when they go away. We've seen them lose at Anfield, obviously. We've seen them concede 3 at Newcastle earlier on in the season. So, you know, if you're looking at the recent form, you could argue that City's is actually better than Man City's. Leicester City's is actually better than City's with that loss. Obviously, City did win last weekend as well. But, I mean, it's going to be one of those games, an early kick-off. I'm sure the Leicester fans will be up for it. They have to be, really, to get out of the mud. And they're slowly but surely moving out of that area in the table. But, I mean, you can't really look past the Man City win here, can you? I'm trying to give Leicester as much chance for this one as possible. As much chance
as possible. I mean, I guess the only thing is obviously Leicester are at home. It's just they've been so inconsistent, isn't it? Like sometimes they look really, really good, and maybe you think, oh, they're finding some form, but then it kind of always goes back to that same staleness that has been there for kind of the last year and a half, really, under Rodgers, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem like long-term Rodgers is the answer to get them playing, you know, within the top 8 again. I mean, we've said so. How many times have we spoken about Rodgers at Leicester and the fact that it's probably his last season there. I mean, quite surprising really that he hasn't been let go of already. But, I mean, if they sack him, they've got to pay him loads of money. So it's kind of, as I've said before, a bit of a standoff between the owners and the manager.
And are they really in that slump because of Rodgers, or is it because of a culmination of things to do with COVID and the impact that's had? But they did manage to keep hold of their players. So is that maybe a credit to Rodgers as well?
Yeah, just about kept hold of them. I think Rodgers... You don't turn into a bad manager overnight. He is a good Premier League manager, which we know. But I think realistically, to beat City at home is going to take something massive. You're going to be looking at Vardy to be bang on form. He scored in his last game off the bench. Maddison's got to be right at this as well. But we have seen some massive shock scorelines between Leicester and City in the past. Normally they have been at the Etihad, where I think Leicester won 5-2, 4-1 in the last few years. So... again, City, you know, drawing in the week, they lost to Liverpool in the league, so not the best form, but again, I'm trying to give Leicester everything I can, but City will win this game, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, I need a prediction for you on this one, please.
I'm going to go for an early Leicester goal, and then I'm going to go for a pretty much immediate reply, and then a goal to settle it off in the second half. Is it going to be 2-2 and then City go away down the other end and score 3-1?
You think it could be like 2-2? You think it's
I think 3-1. But yeah, just because if we look at the list of games that these two have played, there have traditionally been goals in them. So I'm going to go for a City win. The Battle of the Cities.
Battle of the Cities. Okay, I will go... you said 3-1, right?
3-1 City, I'm
Okay,
going.
I'll mix it
Man
up.
City, that is.
I'll mix that up.
Go
Do you know
for a
what?
2-all.
Yeah, do you know, I was just
Early
going to say
kick-off
something
madness.
like a little bit random, a little bit wild. Probably won't happen, but let's just give it a go anyway. So moving on, Newcastle taking on Aston Villa. Obviously, Newcastle are in fine form at the moment, aren't they? They could they get a Champions League spot? It's very early to tell.
Very
isn't it?
early to tell. Let's see how they're faring kind of end of February, mid-March. I think that's the time of year when we see who's ready putting their cards on the table, who's serious. Obviously, I hope Liverpool are going to be a lot better position-wise come March. But if you look at Newcastle's form across 2022, I mean, they're in the top 4 already in terms of the calendar year of 2022.
You think where they were when Eddie Howe came in?
It's a joke.
You know, bottom of the table, weren't they?
Joke.
They hadn't had a win. I think they didn't have a win up till Christmas or something like that, something similar, and they were still rock bottom. And then, you know, to finish the season strong and then to go on, and I know absolutely they have, you know, credit to them. Even with the money, they've still managed to improve the players they had, the likes of Almiron. They had St Maximum. They had Joe Linton. And they're looking like a really good side, aren't they?
Do you know what? Who would have thought it?
Not me.
And Jack Grealish, I know we keep going back to it, but he was quoted this morning saying, I wish the English press would just leave me alone and let me focus on my game. Which, I mean, I understand his point, but it's a bit ironic when you are the £100 million man and you use your platform to speak down on another player, and that player is playing
like,
5 times better than you right now. It's just unnecessary. Listen, he'd had a drink, right? We've all said stuff when we've had a drink. But that was just silly, and it's come back to bite him. And I think Miggy Almiron, if you look at that goal that he scored against Tottenham, with all due respect to them, that's your beloved team.
It's all right.
But if Messi did that, we'd all be saying, what a goal.
Yeah, of course.
And that was Messi-esque.
It's to do with the clout, isn't it?
It was the left foot. He's absolutely sold. Was it Longley he sold? Sold him a hot dog. So if they can keep Maximin, who has been injured, and hasn't really been missed if you think about the results they've been getting. But Maximum, Callum Wilson, Almiron, Joel Linton, Bruno, Trippier, if they can just keep that spine of the team fit.
And I think Botman's been a really
Botman and
successful
Shaw,
player.
and Shaw as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He goes under the radar, but Shaw, unbelievable as well. And I think when you look at the actual performances that they're churning out, it's not a surprise to see them playing so well. And I know that there's a few guys in the comments, big up to Tendi Item, who's a massive Newcastle fan, reminding us that ASM and Isaac are out of this game, which is obviously a big miss. And we haven't seen much of Isaac. I did see him score at Anfield on his debut.
We saw a lot, didn't we, though, in the World Cup, and it was one that he was kind of player that everyone had their eyes on and thought, oh, maybe he could do a job for this team or that team. And I think that's a really good signing for Newcastle.
So ASM, if he can get back fit, Almiron's on fire. Callum Wilson is probably the best number 9 apart from Harry Kane right now in the league. So everything is looking good for Newcastle. It really is. I can't find any faults really at the minute.
Credit to Eddie Howe, 100%. Just quickly touching on Aston Villa. Obviously, they turned their fortunes around. Steven Gerrard was sacked last week, and then they went on to win 4-0. I mean, obviously, Liverpool fan, you are. That must hurt you a little bit to see that kind of reaction towards Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, I think, listen, I'm not an Aston Villa fan, so I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I think singing Get Out of Our Club as he's walking back across the fans at Fulham away, Steven Gerrard, get out of our club. I think that's a bit mad, if I'm honest.
A bit nasty.
It's a bit nasty, but again, I've heard way nastier things at football, so shouldn't be too surprised. But the fact that they get rid of their manager and then a few days later win 4-0.
But that just shows you they obviously weren't playing for him.
Well,
they just didn't like him.
But I don't like that because that's cheating.
But you
can't pick and choose who you play for.
You see that at every club. Look how many times we've seen it at Chelsea.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's a good thing at all. Chelsea, they don't really shower themselves with good stuff, if I'm honest. So that doesn't surprise me. But I just feel like players, I mean, the manager is the one that ends up getting the sack every time for poor results. But the players almost get away scot-free.
It's player power, isn't it?
And it's too much. And I don't understand. I do understand it. But how can you down tools and then pick them up straight away? In my mind, that's cheating, if anything.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Right, let's have your prediction on this game, please. By the way, we are obviously running the polls, so make sure you go and have a vote, and we'll have a look at those as well.
I'm going for a slim Newcastle win, which I don't think is the worst result ever for Villa away at St James's. I think they're still unbeaten there this season at Newcastle up there. Yep. The win probability here, according to the website we're on, is 53% to Newcastle, the probability of them winning. I'm going to go for a slim 2-1. I know Newcastle have been on fire, but with that new manager bounce, I'm expecting Villa to play a lot closer than than they have been under Gerrard. So 2-1 to Newcastle.
I think that is a pretty fair scoreline. There's lots of people in the chat. Chris George said Newcastle should get the win, I think. Ryan City go, Newcastle 2-1. Geordie, Tune for Life, 2-0. Ten Deatum said unbeaten at St James's in 2020, apart from Liverpool 1-0 in late April. So they've got a really great record there. I think that's a pretty fair scoreline. Right, moving on to another 3 o'clock. It is Bournemouth taking on Spurs. In their 5 away Premier League visits to Bournemouth, Spurs have either failed to score 3 times or scored at least 4 goals in a 5-1 and a 4-1.
So
mixed bag.
Mixed bag, yeah.
Very mixed bag. I don't know. I don't even know where to start with this one.
Big up to Charlie in the comments. AGT looks like it got run through a forest and bruised up. Well, I have just been to Amsterdam, so make of that what you will.
Kind of the same thing.
Yep.
I don't even know where to start with Tottenham. I really don't.
What's going on, Abs? Because,
there's
Harry Kane...
dark magic at work.
Yeah.
Not the type I would like to see.
And it is Halloween as well.
It is.
What did you... Scary. We have to talk about it. As a comment in the early ones, which I'll get up, and it says something along the lines of, as Abbi got over the fact that goal... Here we go. Abbi, are you still crying from Kane's rightfully disallowed goal against Sporting Lisbon?
Firstly, I'm not crying. Secondly...
That's what somebody who's crying says.
If that's Liverpool... That's given, in my opinion. If that's United, it's given. Because it's so fractional. It's so fractional.
Nothing to do with the team.
It's so fractional. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Well, we've got it up on the screen here.
Have you seen the other angles of it?
I don't know why they're showing us this angle.
I'm just going to show you another angle. Let me just get this up for you.
Because I think it's important.
Let me just get this up for you.
I've watched the analysis of it. One, I agree with you in terms of the angle.
I would also like to say it's the same officials who were on VAR as the Champions League final, which was not a penalty.
So now you want to bring me into it?
I'm not bringing you into it. I'm just giving you some information. Just giving you some information. You can do with it what you will. Now I wish I could find it, and now I can't bloody find it.
Yeah. No, I do agree with you. That angle that they've shown isn't technically in line. And what's happened to the technology?
I'm just going to show you this angle.
Zoom in if
you want to get a close up. Look at this angle. Tell me how that's offside. Tell me how.
I don't think that's offside.
That is not offside. And obviously, it depends on the angle. If you look at it on that angle, it obviously looks a little bit more apparent. But considering it went to VAR, considering it went for 5 minutes to VAR, that's not the angle that they were obviously watching.
They obviously had to account for was it an accidental or not touch from the Sporting defender. But what I can't understand is obviously we were in Amsterdam, we were watching the games out there, and they had the technology where it's where the UEFA license thingy comes up and it shows you how offside they are. That works. So why have we not got that?
I don't know. Look, what I will say is that it doesn't take away from the fact that Spurs were absolutely terrible, especially in the first half. I thought the second half they looked a lot better, and they didn't deserve to win the game. So it was more just I felt there was an injustice because it was so minute that it just it just annoyed me even more. However, Spurs they've got to change something. I don't know what they've got to change, but for me, I think that I always say, it always goes back to the fullbacks. The fullbacks are not good enough to play in this formation. There is no creativity going on. I'd like to see Brian Gill start. I think every time I've seen him feature, this season he's come on, he's looked positive. He's wanted. Well, obviously at the moment we've got no Kulusevski and we've got no Richarlison. So I'd quite like to see him in that front three and see what he can do.
Inside on his left.
Yeah, he's been really effective when he's come on. He's young, he's hungry, he's got the energy. He goes forward with the ball. He plays like he hasn't got the handbrake on, which is unfortunately how a lot of this Spurs team are playing at the moment. And when you see they're getting a little bit more release, like we had in the second half of that game against Sporting, you see that they are able to create chances. And I think while that we don't have Kulusevski and Richarlison, I think it is important to have anyone that can create something in that Tottenham side.
Yeah, he's been... people have said he's a bit lightweight in the past and he's obviously got shipped out on loan, but I think, he should give him a run of games.
He's worth the try. I think that the way Tottenham are playing, they need some energy, they need some spark, and I think that any time I've seen him feature so far, I think he's come on and he's a positive impact into the game. Even if it's just driving runs forward and moving the ball forward. And running at defenders, we're not seeing that too much. And I think with how out of form Son is, I think that you need something up there because it's just Kane on his own.
Yeah, can't do it all.
You cannot.
No, I agree with you. How about this one, right? Tottenham have lost 3 of the last 5 games. That's happened once under Antonio Conte, and it could be 3 in a row. It's a year today since he signed for Tottenham. Still hasn't signed that long-term deal. After 365 days, how would you sum up his time at Tottenham so far?
A mixed. Well, it's a bit harsh to say a mixed bag, because I think the end of last season, I think after kind of like February time, Spurs were really good. You know, towards the end of the season, obviously had no right to get top four. They got top four. They were playing actually really kind of like emphatic football, actually, especially on the counter attack. And that's what I'm not understanding. What's happening this season? Like, where has that gone? Maybe it is because, you know, our attacking players are out and there's been injuries, but I still am just struggling to figure out what's happened to that beautiful counter-attack football and kind of just playing that way. It's a little bit turgid for me at the moment. It's giving me a little bit of Mourinho vibes, and
because as soon as you start getting Mourinho vibes, from what I know, that's pretty much
it's, you know, it's not great. But I do have far more trust in Antonio Conte than I do. And I did have, in Jose Mourinho. In terms of, I think, the centre-backs, I think that this might come back to Lloris, to be honest with you, because I think when you've got a keeper that's in and out of form, as he is at the moment, he had a great game against United, but his last three outside of that have been pretty woeful. So I think that also kind of resonates with the defence. If you feel your keeper's a little bit shaky, that can kind of contribute to, you know, what's going on with your back line. And I think that where you've got Emerson, you know, my man's doing no-look passes off the pitch and then making compilations and stuff like that.
What's that about?
He's just, you know, look, he's great.
What is happening?
He's great as a person. But, I mean, I just think to myself, Jed Spencer's sitting there on the bench and he's probably thinking, like, how am I not playing? Like, this guy's getting in over me. You know, Matt Doherty's getting in over me. And I just don't believe that Jed Spence isn't as ready as Conte makes out he is. I just don't.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a
Felt
tough
good to get
time
that
for
off my
Spurs.
chest, guys.
It's therapy.
That was good to get it off my chest.
That's good. Defensively, though, just not with it at the minute, Tottenham.
No.
I've never seen so many. I mean, I was watching the game the other night in Amsterdam. Some of the passes from Dyer that just go off the pitch.
The madness.
That's just...
But again, he came a long way playing with Romero last year. He improved a lot.
Yeah.
But I think, again, Romero's not having the greatest season. It makes Dyer not have a great season. And I don't know. I think there's some issues there. There's definitely some issues.
Let us know in the comments. Will Tottenham win? Will they get back to winning ways at the weekend?
Will we? Bournemouth, what do you reckon?
Do you know what? I have to take my hat off to Bournemouth. I really do, because since we beat them 9-0, I think they've won more points in the league than us. So, you know, they've lost 7 of their last 10 games against Tottenham. They've only won 1 of those, and they currently sit in 14th. But if they win, I tell you what, they can get right up the table. There's only 4 points difference from 7th all the way down to 14th at the minute. So if you win, it really looks like you're having an unbelievable season. Look at Fulham right now. Look at Brighton. Look at even West Ham. Out of nowhere, have won 4 now. They're 10th, and they were bottom of the table a few weeks ago. So we're still in that early period of the season where any massive win, any massive loss probably sounds worse than it actually is. But I don't know, man. Bournemouth at home, it can be an intimidating place to go. It's the smallest stadium in the league. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to go for a draw, Abby. I don't know why. I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2.
To be fair, there's every part of me that would like to equally back that. But
yeah, you've got to back the team, though, surely.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Chris George in the comments. Come on, Alex. Predict a Bournemouth win. He's an Arsenal fan.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
All right, if I've got to back Tottenham, then I'll go with a 2-1 win. I think if we win, it's narrow.
Spurs for Life says 4-1 in the comments.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. Do you know what? I hope like Brian Gill comes and plays and has like a Gareth Bale breakthrough moment. That would be great.
What, like against Inter Milan?
Probably won't happen, but I'd love to see it.
I mean, Inter Milan, Bournemouth, you know.
Same thing.
Yeah, go on then.
Same thing.
Let's move on.
Okay, let's see. Who's up next on Saturday? So, Brighton, Chelsea. This is an interesting one.
It is. The Cucurella, the Potter derby.
Potter's going back to Brighton. Chelsea obviously had United last weekend. They weren't at their best. I'd say they looked better second half. Do you reckon Brighton could get something here?
Well, they haven't actually led for a single minute in any of their 10 Premier League games against Chelsea, but they haven't all been losses. They've drawn 4 of those, and it's the only team to play more games against a specific opponent without ever taking the lead in the competition is Portsmouth. also against Chelsea with 14. Unbeaten in the last 6 games, Chelsea. They've drawn the last 2, so they'll be looking to get back to winning ways. But is there that slight bit of nastiness going to come from the home fans? You know, with Potter coming back, Cucurella coming back as well. Whether he starts is yet to be seen. But I almost look at Brighton as like the mini Chelsea, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the
just
way
without the budget.
Without the budget, but their scouting has been unbelievable.
It has
Chelsea scouting is unbelievable too. They just don't actually use the players that they've scouted.
Correct.
But Brighton are just so impressive. I really can't hammer them at all this season because, you know, yes, their form hasn't been great since Potter's left. I think it's 2 draws and 3 losses. But when they came to Anfield and drew 3-3, my whole perspective changed about Brighton because I saw a different side that I haven't really seen before. Currently sitting in
ninth in the table.
and if they win, again, they could be in 7th themselves. So, I mean, they shouldn't really focus too much on the last 5 games because I think this De Zerbi fella is good. Roberto De Zerbi, I think he will come through.
It takes time as well to adapt, doesn't it? Like when you have a new manager and seeing how they want to play. But I think they'll be really, really up for this Brighton. And they always have players that pop up in big games. People like Trossard, for example. Like he's one I always like decide I want to put in my fantasy late on because he's
got to leave. With all due respect to Brighton,
good.
Contract runs out in the summer, and they could really cash in on him in January.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll leave in January because obviously, I think he's going to the World Cup with Belgium as well. As Abbi almost breaks the studio, but I think he, for himself, and again, no shots here at Brighton, for himself. He could go to a top 4 team. I think he's that good. Chelsea want him.
Well, of course, because Potter wants him.
There
But
you go.
do you think he could go to a top 4 team hypothetically?
I do.
Or do you think he might fit in that next bracket of like he'd be a great addition to like an Everton or to a Newcastle?
I think that's a bit disrespectful to him. I think he's got to be
included
aiming a little bit
Newcastle in
higher.
that.
Yeah, maybe Newcastle. I'd have that. Definitely not Everton though.
Don't forget Everton isn't. I know.
I'd have him.
I know your scouts, but like you know.
No, with all due respect to Everton, Newcastle have absolutely shadowed them in terms of their form
They have
this
just
year.
had a massive injection of cash. Though.
They have. Whether it's legal or not is another issue. But Trossard, I'd actually have him at Liverpool.
I think he's a great player.
I mean, who scores a hat-trick at Anfield?
Not many.
Tell me. I don't know exactly. It's unbelievable. I mean, Arshavin was the last one before in 2009. But Trossard, if you watch him, mate, get yourself to a proper club. Get up the motorway and come on the Cop TV and we'll sort it out.
Has Potter improved Chelsea since joining them? Have you seen anything positive?
I was about to say yes straight off the bat then. But I'm a big fan of Matisse's content. He's not really sold on him too much so far. And I think it's going to take time, but you don't get time at Chelsea. That's the thing. We know how ruthless their ownership can be. We've seen it with Tommy Tuchel after winning the Champions League. He's got the sack. I'm not totally sold yet. I'd like to see the performances improve. I think they still can be quite boring and horrible to watch, Chelsea, and that's Chelsea fans would tell you that as well. But hey, 2 massive away wins in the Champions League at Milan, 1 at home, 1 away. So that side of things, it's good, but they are struggling with injuries, obviously, too. So yeah, I'm going to go for a slim Chelsea away win, but it's not going to be the best game to watch this.
Might be like a 1-0, like a late.
Could well be.
I'm going to go Brighton on this. I'm going to do 1-0 Brighton.
Okay.
Something interesting.
Let us
Why
know in the
not?
comments.
Something interesting. Crystal Palace taking on Southampton. Palace form is up and down at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. I mean, such an interesting start to the season. They're still favourites for this game, obviously being at home. But they do need to pick it up a little bit. They beat Southampton 2-1 in April, but have never won consecutive Premier League matches against Southampton.
Southampton lost their last 2 as well.
Yeah, Hasenhüttl clinging on to his job. They've lost 3 of their last 13 Premier League visits to Crystal Palace, which isn't actually the worst result. They've actually won 6 of those 13, winless in the last 2. Scored 40 goals in their 26 Premier League games against Palace, an average of 1.5 a game. So there should be goals in this one. And again, Palace have got the players. We saw a clip yesterday of Mikel Elise with Vieira and Wenger. And they were speaking in French, and Wenger said to Elise, the only thing you need to do is score more goals. We've seen Eze step it up with goals recently. He's a little bit older than Elise, but if Eze can reach the Zaha level of scoring goals, which, again, even that's quite impressive. We haven't really mentioned how many goals Zaha has actually scored in 2022. It's been incredible, but if they can reach that level, And Palace are going to go far because they're young. They've got a very strong defence with Gay at the back. So I'm going to go with a Palace slim win. Southampton need the win themselves, if we're honest. We actually play them the last game at Anfield before the World Cup. So I'm going to go with a Palace 2-0 win here, which probably goes against the grain if you look at those stats that I've just read out.
Yeah, I think that with Palace, it's, I think they depend on those young, quick players to kind of turn up in the game. I think you said defensively they've got a lot of talent there. But I'm a big fan of Palace. I'm actually a big fan of Vieira as a coach as well. I think especially you can't take away what he did last season with Palace. I think it was their highest ever finish, wasn't it?
Yep.
And the likes of Eze, and I think Zaha has been great. For me, I'm going to go with I might go like a 3-1 Palace.
It's quite a big
Just
score.
something like edgy.
Yeah, well, if they do win, again, they're another team in that 13th place that if they do win, they could find themselves in the single or the top half of the table, single figures. So it's a massive game for them. And if Southampton lose, that would be their 7th loss in 13.
Get our crystal ball out. You like that? Like that Halloween joke?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it wasn't really a joke, but
just,
I appreciate it nonetheless.
Halloween
Let us know in the
puns.
comments, was that a joke?
Was that a joke?
I'm sure
was
we
that
can
a
do
pun?
better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up your game.
Up our
Bring
game.
something.
I'm trying to think of jokes, but I'll let them come naturally.
If you've got any
Don't
Halloween
force it.
jokes, actually send them to us.
You lot are looking like clowns, says Manouche. Brilliant.
Catcher.
That's great. Alex very salty about Newcastle. I was actually big in Newcastle up. How was I being salty?
I think maybe because we mentioned the money.
Well, you did.
I
I didn't.
mentioned the money.
But
Don't worry, I
big
wish
up the
someone
two.
from Saudi would take us
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
That's why.
Let us know any jokes. There
Any
you
jokes?
go.
Any jokes you got today? Obviously, don't just write Spurs and don't just write Liverpool because
Abby
that's-
has better jokes than AGT from Tendy Item.
Thank you. I
There
do
you go.
have better jokes.
Of course you're going to say that.
Because I'm funny. Anyway, Brentford taking on Wolves. The away team has won both of the Premier League meetings between these two last season. So Brentford when they were at Molineux and Wolves when they were at Brentford. I'm a big fan of Brentford. I think what they've done since, coming up, I'm a big fan of them. I'm a big fan of Thomas Frank. Brentford are currently 11th in the table, which is pretty good.
Fine.
Pretty good
About
for them,
right.
isn't it?
Par for the course, I'd say.
Par for the course.
But Wolves, though, on the other
Wolves
hand.
are in big
Oof.
trouble. Big
Wow.
trouble.
They remain winless in their last 10 away league games.
Did they do the
drawing
right
2,
thing
losing
sacking
8.
Bruno last?
It's a weird one because, they did, because the form was atrocious. They literally could not score a goal for love nor money. So add all that up, well, we need a new manager. But what's come in is even worse, maybe. To lose 4-0 at home to Leicester.
Bad.
I mean, it's kind of a Midlands derby, that one.
It is a Midlands
It
derby.
is Midlands derby. You can't be losing 4-0 at home, Abby. I don't care who you are. I mean, Diego Costa needs to start scoring. Podence, Neto,
They have got players in there.
Guedes. They should
Neves,
be
they've
doing
got
well.
players.
Neves
They
is
really do.
unbelievable, and I think this is definitely his last
they shouldn't
season
be in
at
the
Wolves
position
now.
that they're in. They definitely should not be.
They
in that
shouldn't,
position.
but if they can get an away win, maybe that turns their fortunes around. A nice away day in Brentford.
You need a little bounce, right?
But I'd have to go for the home team here, Abby, just considering Wolves' so rancid away league record at the minute.
Rancid. What a great
Rancid.
word. Rancid.
Yeah.
Love that word.
Could use that for a couple of the producers that work here. To be
Oh,
fair.
he's fuming. Do you know why? Show him why you're
because
fuming.
what happened was, I get in the studio and producer Jason, this is a brand new T-shirt, right? And it's not just a cheap Primark one. Other brands are available, of course. You know when you actually want a nice
I know,
white
a nice
T-shirt?
thick white t-shirt. I know.
Not a cheap one. So I got this. Straight away, he pours fake blood all over me.
It was accidental.
So
It was an
look,
accidental
I don't know if you
drip.
can see that laptop might be covering. We'll get it out. Yeah. Normally I wear drip, but this is a different type of drip. And I'm going for dinner tonight.
He's
so
very upset.
very upset.
Very upset.
Which kind of,
Dampens
Dampens the spirit.
His little spirit. But anyway.
big spirit.
Right, prediction, please, for live.
Sorry. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Brentford win. I think Ivan Toney scores a goal in this as well.
Okay, I think this is a Brentford win as well. I think it's going to be, what did you just say? 2-1?
2-1 Brentford.
2-1. I think this is going to be like a 2-0, to be fair. I can't see Wolves scoring, to be fair. We have got a super chat from Nick Hill, who said, don't think Arsenal are in a slump. We'll recover and beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. Think we'll still be top 2 till the World Cup. Really optimistic about the January transfer window. Come on, you Gunners. We are going to get to Arsenal.
Oh, don't
in a
worry.
minute.
We'll be getting on
Don't
to
worry,
that.
we'll be getting there. And he also said, by the way, great outfit, both. both. You two make a great Halloween couple. You should also do a Diwali special as well next year, dressed in India attire. I'm fully up for that.
Get a bit of food on.
We love a bit of dress up, a bit of culture, a bit of food. Let's get producer Jason on that.
Yeah.
Right, 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. It's a very action-packed day Saturday.
Saturday football show is going to be a belter.
It is going to be great.
We've got an amazing lineup as well. I'm not going to reveal it now.
Oh,
but we've got a very good lineup. Yeah, some scary faces on there. Trust me.
Make sure you all tune into that.
Absolutely.
5:30 is Fulham taking on Everton. Fulham are pretty good at the minute, aren't they? They're proving people wrong.
Do you know what?
They're
I think
proving
it's 9 goals now for Mitrovic, which, let's take away Haaland, just because he's a freak of nature. But imagine if Haaland wasn't around and all those the negative comments that Mitrovic had at the start of the season, he's just doing that now.
They're playing really well.
9 goals.
They're sitting 7th in the table. And you know, the last time that Fulham came up, obviously they just barely moved off the bottom and kind of went straight back down. And we've seen that a few times. So what's different with them this time?
I think it's just their ability to score goals. I mean, it sounds very Michael Owen-esque, but if you score goals, you win games. And they keep scoring goals and they keep winning games.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. They've got a really compact midfield. I'm really liking Palhinha. I think he's had a great season so far. Fulham fans, if you're watching, let us know how impressed you've been by him. Really have been impressed by that combative midfield, which doesn't really change with Ream in there as well. So Fulham have been going at it, and I think it is a very hard place to go to. And traditionally, Everton don't do well away in London. So I'm going to go for a Fulham win. I'll be looking forward to watching this game. I think it'll be a little bit closer. I mean, Everton, they can pull out a performance. Normally it is at home, but I think Fulham are going to have too much for them here.
I think so too. I think they've just got a Fulham win all over it, to be honest with you. I might go like a... I don't know, I don't really want to pick like a 2. I feel like I should give Fulham more.
More?
I don't know. I mean, Everton, I know they've been all right defensively, but I'm really feeling Fulham at the moment.
Yeah, they are doing very well. A lot of love for them in the comments as well here.
I am feeling them. Oh my God, this week. I can't tell you how itchy this week is, guys, by the way.
No, it's not looking... you've had better hair days, if I'm honest.
To be fair, it was just... I think I just needed a brush.
Yeah, did Jason provide that? Of course he didn't. So
he's on some serious
AGT, bring Gus on the Saturday football show.
I thought Gus was meant to be coming down this week.
He is in London. He is in North London right now. He is. Potentially Sunday is the day that we might see Gus.
Can you bring him Monday for a round table?
I could do.
So
I actually might have to.
So I'm here.
Yeah. No, I might have to because we're going straight back to Liverpool after that. So Gus might be there. Again, we need some kind of outfit. He doesn't do well with outfits and stuff.
He doesn't need one. He can just come.
He's just Gus.
He's just Gus.
He's just little Gus.
Okay, petition to get Gus on the show on Monday's roundup. Right, moving on. Liverpool taking on Leeds. Talk to me about your club, please. Talk to me.
Massive, huge victory away in Amsterdam on Wednesday night, and I was so impressed with the result. The first half performance, still same old Liverpool though. I mean, if you watched the game, I'm not sure if you did, Liverpool should have been 2-0 down in the first 10 minutes. They hit the post. They were really on top of us. But Ajax just crumbled in the second half when we got those goals.
That is a pattern that Ajax have had this year, isn't it?
Yeah, good first half, crumble in the second half. But again, Liverpool need to win this game. And I don't think we could have maybe picked a better team to play, with all due respect to Leeds at the minute.
Leeds are
sitting right down there on 18th. They lost their last 4 games. Jesse Marsh complaining that he's never lost this many games in his career. But Liverpool at home at Anfield, you'd have to back the Red Men in this one. I mean, whatever form we're in ever, it's just baffling how we can beat City at home and then lose to Forest. But we have to turn it around. 75% win probability on this one, and I want to see goals. I want to see a lot of goals in this one.
Who starts for you this weekend up front?
Has to be the Starwin Núñez up top. Great goal in midweek. Should have scored another one. We saw that horrendous miss from 2 yards out, hit the post, open goal. But he seems to be a lot better with his head than his feet, Abby. I'm not mad at that. You want your number 9 to be putting headers away. I
think it also gives you a different option as well to have that.
Because we can play Salah through the middle as well.
I thought that when you signed him, to be fair. I thought that was to give you that different outlet.
It definitely gives us more up front than we had last year. I mean, Salah can play through the middle, as we know. Firmino has been doing really well. And I think there's maybe a shout to bring in Harvey on that left-hand side as well. Fabio Carvalho played there against Forest, pretty non-existent. But Liverpool, it's not just about can we win this game, it's we have to. We absolutely have to. We've only won 4 games this season
Which
now,
is a mad
which is
stat.
mental. I mean, even
Absolutely
Tottenham
mad.
7 wins, Liverpool only 4. So
Don't say
Liverpool
even
have to
Tottenham.
win.
That was other people you
Well,
could
no,
have said.
considering how poor you've been in the last 2
I know,
weeks,
just
you've still
hurtful.
got 7
Sometimes
wins
it's
on the
just a bit
board.
hurtful, you know?
Well, listen,
It's
it
just
is
a bit
hurtful.
hurtful.
It is what it is. Anfield might be a bloodbath. At night, Liverpool will lead Leeds into the night and slaughter them 4-0. Hoping so. Tendi Item, big up to you. Gomez, your best player this season. Wouldn't agree with that. I'd say it was Alisson. 3-1 Liverpool penalty as well, says Nick. That would be nice. And I think a draw with Leeds, says Andy, which would be awful result for us. 10% probability Leeds
There's
have
just
got.
one I want to read out, which is from Jez for Prez.
Yep.
Salah is retired now. Too much money. He thinks he's an Emir or something.
Did you see his goal on Wednesday night in the
Did see
Champions
his goal,
League?
but
He
you
is-
have to admit he has, same as Son. They've both been very disappointing this season. You have to admit that.
I wouldn't say Salah's been massively way better than Son this season. Scored like 7 goals. I don't think you can say that's a. I mean, listen, performance-wise, he has.
I'm talking about the Premier League.
Yeah, the league. Performance-wise, he has been non-existent in a lot of games, which isn't good enough. But you score the winner against City, it looks like he's back to his best, and then is a ghost the next week. That's another Halloween joke. But hopefully he isn't a ghost this weekend, and he comes alive at night. Mo Salah, just like me, because I am a Dracula. If you didn't realise, what is this?
You are a vampire Dracula
Creepy
today.
town. So
I'm not actually sure what I'm meant to be. I think I'm meant to be like a dark.
yeah, what is this?
I don't know. It was like half angel, half witch.
I
like
was scared when I came in and saw this. Is that wings?
I have got wings.
Okay.
I don't know what they are. I'm just like a vampire's wife, I think.
There you go.
Witchy type thing. Not entirely sure. This wig is just doing me so dirty. Like, look at his hairline. Like, what is this? What is this?
Poor.
Right. So moving on to, I believe we're on to Sunday's games. Arsenal. They are taking on Nottingham Forest. Now, obviously, there has been rumblings that they are maybe just like, what's the word I want to look for here?
Arsenaling in.
Potentially haven't lost, but the last 2 games. They could have lost.
Well, they have lost to United. They've lost 1 game.
Yes, they have lost 1 game. Obviously, drew last week with Southampton, a game that, arguably they should have won, but credit to Southampton. And, of course, they lost this week to PSV in the Europa League. Is this a shaky Arsenal, or do we think they're just going to restore this with Forest? Obviously, they're coming off the back of that big win over you guys.
No, I think this is just a small blip for Arsenal. I think they go back to winning ways at the weekend against Forest. Unfortunately for them, really poor performance last night. I was with Lee and Cecil out in Amsterdam. We managed to bump into each other. And they were buzzing with being out there, and they thought they were going to win. But watching AFTV last night, I mean, Lee said they could have lost that 5 or 6-0.
Okay, that's interesting.
So if that happened, it would have been a howler. But 2-0, I guess they're still going to qualify in that group, so it's not really a massive deal. But Abbi Jesus did limp off last night. He was limping, or seen limping, leaving the stadium. So they need him fit.
Arsenal did lose to them last year, didn't they?
They did.
They've
actually had, Forest have got the better of Arsenal a couple of times in the FA Cup over the last couple of years. And trust me,
this does
not
like
an easy team to play.
It looks like a different Arsenal side now, though.
For sure it is. If you compare the 2 lineups between the last time they played Forest, they'd be so different. But I fully expect Arsenal to come back here and win this one comfortably. I really do. I could see this 3 or 4-1.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. I would like to obviously see a good performance. I do like an upset, not just about Arsenal. For you all come for me. I'm just saying, I'm just not just Arsenal.
Okay.
Like, I do sometimes like it when an underdog beats team. Like last week, you get him beat by.
I bet you enjoyed that, didn't you?
Forest. I did.
Yeah,
I did enjoy it. I enjoy it as long as it's not Spurs.
I'll tell you what, when Newcastle pumped you, I was going, go on Newcastle, up the mugs.
Go on the mugs.
Like you read that.
Go on the mugs. So yeah, for me, I think this is going to be similar, maybe like a 4-1.
Yeah.
I could see Arsenal 4-1.
I mean, if Forest managed to get anything out of this game, it's going to be an absolute shock for me. I fully expect Arsenal to absolutely gun these guys down.
Gun these guys down. I love that.
Well, it's a gunner's joke, isn't it?
Yeah, that was good. I'm still waiting for Halloween jokes, guys. Still waiting for Halloween jokes.
Get them in before we end.
Yes. The last game of the weekend, Manchester United. They are facing who I've just gone out my brain. They've got West Ham. Sorry.
West Ham.
West Ham have kind of improved of late. They were really kind of sinking down the bottom. They're now up to 10th. What do you make of this game?
Do you know what? This is always a good game to watch, actually. When we have the West Ham fans come on the channel, Nick, the Jasons, the other Nick, then they're always talking about how West Ham won that game at Old Trafford in May 2007 to keep them up, that Carlos Tevez winner. It's actually the last time they've won there in the last 14 league visits, drawing 3, losing 11. United have won their last 4 games against West Ham. So everything's telling you really that this is a United win. Good win for them last night in Europe. And I think if you play on a Thursday, it can either kill you for Sunday in terms of fatigue, or that form can trickle into the weekend with it being such a quick turnaround and you play at a good level still. I mean, yes, they were playing Sheriff last night.
Sheriff Tiraspol.
Yep, so not the best team to play against, even though Sheriff did beat Real Madrid last year.
But it's good for confidence, though, isn't it? Especially, United are building something.
Clean sheet,
goal. I think
for
they've
Ronaldo.
looked good the last few weeks, to be honest with you.
They've looked okay. So
I think they have.
I think United, West Ham United, that is, if they can go there and get a draw, I think that would be a great result for them. They need the points, obviously, as well. But we will be covering that game on Sunday. I'm presenting that one, actually. We've got a really good lineup for that. We've got Neeks, I think, and a couple of the West Ham lads as well. 4:15 kickoff, that one, on Sunday. I am going to go for a very slim Man United win, but I would love, I know I sound like Delia Smith, I would love it. Well, that's Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, that wasn't so much Norwich, but yeah, go on.
Where are you?
Where are you?
But if West Ham can get something out of that one, I'd be buzzing, if I'm honest.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with like a 1-1 draw on this one.
Yeah, we've got a couple of draws in the comments. Al Gorey says 2-2. Undone says Man United 2-0. Man United 3-1 says Ryan, who is a Man City fan. And Tendi Item says, and this could be a bit of a Halloween joke.
Go on.
This might be a theatre of nightmares for West Ham. And where's it gone? It's just disappeared. That's that.
There you go.
There you go. This is going to be a thriller.
Thriller.
So that's again a Halloween gig.
I won't sing, that's too scary.
3-2, he reckons.
3-2. And we have a super chat from Nick Hill who said, Abby, as much as we love you, we must remember Forest have won as many European Cups as Arsenal, Spurs and Chelsea. Absolutely.
Combined as well, by the way.
Yes, combined.
Up to Nick Hill.
I've got no issue with Forest. I'd be very happy if Forest won this weekend. Up the Forest. Please do me a favour. Please. Please do me a favour.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Forest right now. It's still a bit...
It's a bit raw for you.
For me, still.
It's a bit raw.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've cheered up during this.
Well,
considering
just about.
how Dracula-ish you were with the T-shirt saga, you've actually...
And do you know what? It's
come to
getting
life.
Worse.
It will come out.
As time goes on.
Use the pink stuff. Other brands are available, but use the pink stuff.
I've got the pink stuff.
It'll come out.
But how'd you get...
Anyway, that's a problem.
I'll tell you how,
for.
you buy me a new one.
That's a problem for another day. Thank you, guys. Obviously, make sure you tune into the Saturday Football Show with Alex tomorrow as well. He's here Sunday, aren't you, as you said?
Yeah, every day this weekend, baby. They're getting their money out of me this weekend.
Oh, squeezing it out. Yeah. And, of course, I'll be back on Monday for Round Table Talk where we can discuss and dissect all of the weekend's
That show
action.
has fast become the best show, I think, on DR.
Wow.
In terms of the viewers that we get. Because everyone wants to talk football on a Monday morning. It's the freshest time to talk about it. It is the debrief.
And of course, we are going to keep this Halloween thing going the whole way through, as Monday is Halloween.
It is. One more question for you, Abby.
Yes,
Jimmy in the comments says, anyone know if Abby is married?
I'm not married currently, no. But thank you,
Taken?
Jimmy. I'm taken,
Nice
but I'm
guy.
not married.
Lovely guy. Big up, Ben.
Anyway, guys, on that note, have a wonderful weekend. See you all on DR Sports, and good luck to all your teams.
Are you heading to Qatar for the World Cup this winter? You're going to have to stay connected and power up with a super fast 5G Qatar fan SIM card. What you get is 2 GB of data, 25 minutes of local calls, 15 minutes of international calls to over 120 global destinations. Super fast 5G data, no roaming fees. You can top up locally in Qatar to increase validity and your package, and it's suitable for all devices. Order it online at worldsim.com and it will be delivered to you in 3 to 5 days or next day delivery if you're in the USA or the UK. So save time and get yours now. The link is in the description. Power up and be ready to stay connected for the Qatar World Cup. Get 20% off in partnership with WorldSim. Use the code DRSports20. Click the link to get connected.